Hi guys, Sean here from digiDirect. Now today we're going to be talking about a brand new camera that's just been announced by Nikon. That's the D5600. So that was just announced today, November 10th. It's going to be out November 24th. It's a successor to the D5500, a very popular kind of bread and butter type camera for enthusiasts. It's an APS-C size camera with a 24 megapixel sensor. Now I got my hands on one a couple days ago. I got to play around with it a little bit, check it out. Now, unfortunately, it was a pre-production model, so I'm not allowed to share any photos or videos taken with the camera. So unfortunately, I won't have sample photos for you like I normally do in these videos, but we can still certainly talk about the specs. But first, as always, let's first start with a look at the physical body of the camera. So the D5600 is quite a small camera, especially for a DSLR. That's really nice to see. It's very easy to handle, easy to maneuver. It's got a nice grip on the front. It is very, very slightly lighter than the 5500, but a nice small camera, especially considering it is a DSLR. Now it's got obviously the common dials that we're used to seeing on the top, good hand grip. It does have a fully articulating touch screen. So this is a screen that we can flip out all the way and around, and it is a touch screen so we can control some of our settings, flip through our photos on it. Nice to have that. It just makes things a little bit more convenient. It does have a built-in flash at the top, and in terms of ports, well, we've got a port for remote, we've got an HDMI port, mic port, USB port, and of course an SD card slot. And I will note it does use the same EL14A battery that the 5500 used. So the camera does have 39 autofocus points across the frame, which is pretty good. It covers a nice region of the camera's frame. And then it can shoot 5 frames per second in burst shooting, which is not bad. If you're shooting, you know, maybe kids running around or some kind of sports game, that's going to be useful in order to capture those kind of fast action moments. Now, one of the big new features on the D5600 is its compatibility with SnapBridge. So SnapBridge is Nikon's kind of mobile app. It's available for iOS or Android, but it's a control platform and sharing platform for their cameras. Their newer cameras are starting to become compatible with it. So like the Key Missions, the D500s, and now the D5600. So like I said, it's an app on your phone, and it connects not via Wi-Fi like most camera control apps do. It actually connects via Bluetooth Low Energy, which is a little bit easier to connect. It's kind of like pairing a set of Bluetooth headphones with your phone. Once you pair it up, once you've got Bluetooth on your phone, it'll just see the camera and pair it up rather than having to manually go through and pair it with Wi-Fi every time. So it's a little bit faster that way, which is nice. Now the SnapBridge app has a number of different features. One of the more interesting ones, I think, is that when it's connected to your camera, as you take photos with your camera, the photos that you take are automatically transferred to your mobile device. They are smaller versions. I think they're about 2 megabyte files that are transferred, but it's a really cool way to easily get photos from the DSLR to your mobile device without having to manually transfer them. This is really useful if, for example, you want to take a good quality photo with a nice DSLR, but you want to chuck it up on Facebook or Instagram right away, rather than kind of setting up the app and manually transferring photos. You take the photo, it's on your phone, chuck it right up on the social media, and you're done. You can also use the SnapBridge app as a remote shutter release, so you can use it to take a photo with the camera if it's positioned somewhere else out of your reach. And you can even get firmware updates to your camera through SnapBridge. So as a new firmware update is released for the camera, it comes up in SnapBridge, you say okay, and it just chucks it over to the camera, and that's really all you have to do to update your firmware. So that's very, very cool. Now it's worth noting that although, as I mentioned, the SnapBridge app is connected via Bluetooth Low Energy, the D5600 does still have Wi-Fi. Lastly, we'll touch on video with the D5600. It shoots 1080p video at up to 60 frames per second. So that means you can shoot slow-mo 60 frames per second footage at full HD, which is nice. They've also added in a new time-lapse movie feature on this one, which will let you shoot time-lapse videos in camera. So that's the Nikon D5600, a very solid kind of enthusiast, hobbyist, mid-level type camera. Obviously not every camera is going to be like a D5 or a D810, but for those people who are enthusiasts, hobbyists, they really enjoy photography, they want something more than just kind of the very entry-level camera. They want something with a solid range of specs, but they don't necessarily want to spend a whole ton of money on their camera. I think this will be a very promising camera for that market. I think if you're in that market, you should definitely check it out a bit. I'm certainly interested to see a little bit more about it. Now, you can pre-order the D5600 on our website at www.digidirect.com.au. As I mentioned at the beginning of the video, the camera will be out around the 24th of November. You can also pre-order in store at one of our stores. We've got stores in the Sydney CBD, Bondi Junction, Miranda, Chatswood, the Melbourne and Brisbane CBDs, and a new one in Cannington, Western Australia, which is just outside of Perth. Thanks guys, take care.